So, hi guys, this is Anish here. So, I'm gonna jump into this particular workflow that has helped me in a lot of ways. So, this is about the AI content creation workflow, which has automated almost 50% of the work that my team does for my brands or my clients' brands. It has consolidated all our different dashboards into one particular dashboard, improving productivity by at least two times or even higher, I would say. So let's say if you're a content creator, agency owner or entrepreneur creating content like newsletters, podcast, YouTube videos, blog posts, social media posts or reels or anything, this particular workflow tutorial will be probably a game changer for you guys in improving your productivity. It could be used by e-commerce businesses, agencies, SaaS products, etc., who basically deal with anything in the online space to generate any kind of revenue directly or indirectly for using any kind of social media platform. So about the backstory, a few months ago, I realized when we were using a lot of different AI tools, which were pretty easy to replicate, but the cost of using each individual tool was it was somewhere between 50 to 100 USD a month, which was really costly if you think about it from a compounding perspective. And customizing them to our business needs was again a challenge because every aspect was something which we were able to decode and trying to automate into some or the other kind. Previously, only large corporations or large agencies with really big history of experience were only able to develop custom workflow automation projects. But now I think small businesses can also use the no code type of automation to efficiently streamline their workflow automation. So as entrepreneurs or content creators, we should just aim at you should just aim at using our time to create content. Uh, Probably long form depends on what you're trying to achieve, but this is what I understood, at least from the content creator space. So long form content is essential because it builds a lot of trust with your potential customers. Even if they are not your customers, they become your raving die-hard fans eventually. This AI system allows you to feed it a long form content, then have a virtual assistant or an automated system create high quality clips and snippets and reels and social media posts with it. So if you think about it, it is like generating one huge piece of content. You spend a lot of time in creating that, and then that automatically gets chopped into pieces so that you're able to achieve the fact. You're able to achieve the milestone of generating hundreds of content pieces per week or per 2 weeks or whatever you want to achieve. And then this system reduces the time spent on creating different kind of content by just spending a couple of hours a week to produce high quality content, and then the rest of the time can actually go into your research. So while many SaaS tools do help with your content creation, building your own workflow drives efficiency and customization for sure. So for the brands that I have worked with, this workflow reduced my work week from 5 days to 1 day, decreased the number of virtual assistants from 7 to 1. I earlier used to have really huge team of more than, I think, 80 plus people on my payroll. And now I think I have automated more than, I mean, I don't know, I don't even remember the number of processes I've automated, but I do, in terms of workflow automations, I have more than, I think, 200,000 workflow automations processes running per month across my agency, which has maintained similar or even better kind of productivity, which I have huge deep control of. The goal is ideally to regain the time and streamline your operations. Who is this for? This workflow is basically ideal for if you want to fully integrate the customized workflow. You're tired of jumping from one dashboard to another or one tool to the another part. You're afraid of lack of ownership by your staff or your team members, and really need some customized, tailored setup for your brand. This video will definitely walk you through the whole entire dashboard of how it works, and you definitely have an option to build it yourself. Or if you are facing any kind of issues, then you have a link below in this description, and then you can probably click on that, or you can also have a link or a scanner code here or there in the video. So yeah, I think this is about it. Let's jump into the automation itself. Before understanding the automation, I would take you through understanding how the workflow of the whole dashboard works. So yeah. Okay, so how this content creation basically works is that you kind of create the content, do the content in any form, preferably something which is long form YouTube, and then it goes into the content workflow where the YouTube workflow gets activated, where the YouTube workflow basically creates content transformations for each individual video that we provide, and then it goes into the distribution network. And this particular content transformation from YouTube workflow will then create the LinkedIn transformation, and then it goes into the distribution, the Facebook transformation, and then goes into the distribution, and the Instagram transformation then goes into the distribution. Each workflow is independent in its nature, but again, we define a brand voice so that we don't, miss out on the tonality of what you're trying to achieve. So it is very important that we define the workflow brand voice beforehand. So once these things are defined, then it goes into the transformation chains, where the YouTube workflow is basically where the raw video is taken, and then it goes into the CMS. CMS in our case will be the Airtable. And once that is into the CMS, then the YouTube workflow gets activated. So coming to the point of individual transformation that we're speaking about, what the YouTube workflow basically activates is that the YouTube workflow will create 4 different sets of channels, which is one for the video editor, which can again review and then come back to the video editing part. Then the transcription of the whole video, which goes into ChatGPT, then it's manually edited by your editor or you. And then it goes into the review. If there are any changes, then it comes back to the manual edit. The transcription of the title is the same transcription is used to create a title, and then it goes into the ChatGPT again to clean up and according to the brand voice, and then goes into the manual edit if it is required, and then goes into the review. And then the art designer basically gets it for it to be reviewed and then come back. So once this whole YouTube transformation part is played out, then all the 4 pieces of content, that is the video, the transcription of the description, the title, and the thumbnail, goes into a YouTube bundle where we have the video, the title, the description, and the thumbnail all tied up together, and it acts like the bundle, which can again be published directly to YouTube, or if you want to do it manually, or like directly save it into a Google Drive or something like that. And then once your YouTube bundle is created, what basically happens is it goes into a specific another transformation called the LinkedIn transformation, where the video editor will again review it and then push it back into the same CMS. The transcription which we get from the description goes to the ChatGPT, and then according to your brand voice, it gets manually edited by you and then review, and then this whole thing will get processed, and the art designer will again create another post, or what do you call, an image or a carousel post or whatever, in order to review. Once the whole LinkedIn transformation workflow is fired, then what we get as an output is the LinkedIn bundle, where we have the video, title, description, and thumbnail. In this case, it is basically ideally it is video, title plus the ad copy. We do not have a thumbnail. It depends if you want to have a thumbnail or the video itself. So once the LinkedIn bundle is created, then in a very similar form, we can create a Facebook bundle and an Instagram bundle. So what happens with the Facebook bundle and Instagram bundle is again that we take the raw video, we take the YouTube bundle from the previous step, and it goes through the video editor, review, transcribe, ChatGPT, manual edit and review, art designer and review, and that creates the Facebook bundle. And then same for the Instagram bundle. We can add any more type of content outputs you want, like Reddit or Quora or your private community or anything in that sense, which this whole process of ultimately using the raw video from your YouTube raw to the CMS, to your workflow, will help you generate a lot of long form content which goes into pieces across multiple of the social media platforms. Let's say if you create one big long form video that you can easily generate about 10 to 12 pieces of content which can go across multiple social media platforms. So this is about the AI content workflow so far on the high level. I will take you through each step after this, and show you how the whole thing is created on the back end using Airtable as a CMS, where we can create it according to our needs. And you don't really need multiple CMS Airtable. You don't need multiple CMS controllers. But what you need is one controller for managing multiple brands. So this was one of the main questions that I got asked for after I created that and set it up for a couple of clients. Okay, so I basically created a brand new base in brand new file in Airtable and then added a couple of columns to it and the tables to it for us to be able to use it for our content repurposing. Okay, so I've just named it Boring Content Engine for the sake of this right now. And I already use something like this for my clients for their content pushing and everything else, but let's dive into it from the scratch. Okay, so we have three tables in here inside our base. One is the content, second is the workflow, and the third is the prompts. So individual a table is responsible for individual type of things. So in this case, this is acting like a database. So content in here basically means that every particular row will be one particular file. Let's say if I have one YouTube video that has to be processed into a couple of different things, then let's say if it has to be processed into four different things, then it basically has to create four different rows using the same file ID. So we will be allocating the file ID, the one each row to one particular type of automation. Okay, so content is one, and then workflows is another, where we have all the automations linked. So we have the name in here to identify what type of automation or the workflow we are going to run. And then we have a webhook space where we will be calling our automation scenario, that is a one particular automation from our workflow automation software. And once that is connected, the ones we fill that in, and then once we choose that particular automation in here, that's going to call that particular automation and the scenario in make. And the third is the library of prompts, where we have individual prompts created for individual automation, where we don't really have to go around changing things in our automation software, whereas we can do it directly in our Airtable. Usually people actually do it in the automation software itself, where they define a particular automation prefix, prompt, and a suffix prompt, which becomes very difficult for them to change in the future, because our automations might break at certain parts because of the misconfiguration of this. So okay, let me just go through it one by one. So I'm in the content page. So I have the first column, that is the ID, which is basically an auto generated ID. I'll just add another blank row into this. So this has basically added a row called C4. I'll just go into the edit field formula in here. This is basically C is the prefix, and there is an auto number field. The auto number field is here, which will automatically start counting numbers incrementally while incrementing it one per row. As you can see, the number of contents, the number of videos, or let's say audio files, or let's say image, anything that is added will directly add a unique auto number to it. So I've used that auto number to create an ID with a C as a prefix in here. Okay, and then we have a status where we can modify this. We currently have to do, progress, and done. So what I can do in here is workflow processed, and then pending. Okay, so I can just have two or three. It depends. It is highly dependent on what you're trying to create the workflow for. So you can have, let's say if you have a team of a couple of people and you want a proofreader at the last, then you can have something like awaiting for review in here. And then once it is processed, then we can change it to waiting for review, and then we can connect that particular status into a grid in here. This particular grid will again create a view for that particular person. Like for example, I can like waiting for review, and this is something where I can set the filtration by adding a condition saying that status is something which is waiting for review. So all the ones which will have waiting for review in here, for example, this will automatically load up in here, and once that waiting for review part is done, workflow is processed, then it's gonna go away from here. So I can add another one for processed, and then I can add the filter in here for workflow processed. So this will basically show me this. So this is basically creation of your own individual views. This can be highly dependent on the team members you have, or the departments you have, or the individual tasks that you want to finish. Okay, so now after auto number, we can hide this because now we don't really need it, because we have used that particular inside this formula in here, where we have C and auto number, and so we don't really need this part in here. So I can just directly hide the field, and we will be able to see what are the hidden fields in here. Then I have the status, and then I have the file ID. This file ID is something which I will need. This will be the Google Drive's file ID, which will be used for our like that is the file ID that is completely unique, provided by Google Drive when a particular file is uploaded. So we will using the automation, we will upload the file ID name in here for us to be able to access that file directly via Airtable. And then there is a folder ID which will be the parent folder for this, so that we can directly use a button to open up the particular folder. And then this is a record ID. Record ID is something which okay, so I'll just come into this. So file ID is basically a single line text file format in here, and the same goes for folder ID. Whereas the record ID is something which Airtable actually allocates one particular record ID, which is a unique ID per particular row. So, but they do not have a way to display it. So we basically use a formula field in here, and then use this particular formula to display that record ID. We will be using the record ID in the future in the video itself. So it is important that we have the record ID being displayed in here. Then we have a linked record, which is this link to workflows. So I chose the link record field and then workflows. So for us to be able to choose our transformations in here, for example, if this is a particular file, let's assume that this is a particular file, then I want to, let's say, generate a YouTube title for it. So once I click on this particular webhook transformation, then this is basically notifying Airtable that we are going to use the automation trigger from this particular workflow from here. For example, we can have anything, like we will have a link called this could be hook.com. I'm just giving an example. So this will automatically start load in here, which will be used in our automation trigger, because what we have in here, so this is something which is again a linked record from that particular file. And then in here we have the run automation button, which is a button type, and run automation as the label in here. And then we have webhook from transformations, that is the webhook that we are catching from there. And record ID is equal to record ID which we chose in our previous part. So once we push out that record, once we have a particular proper webhook installed in here, and once you click on this run automation, it's going to fire that particular automation. Okay, and then we have a folder column in here, which is again a formula with a button, where we have a predefined folder link, and then the folder ID which will be used. This is a direct link to open that particular folder, and then there is a open button in here, which open folder button in here, which we will be using to access the folder directly. Same goes for the file, where we are using a link Google Drive prefix, and then the file ID which we get from the Google Drive in our automation. Then we have a field for long text for the YouTube title itself. This is going to be for the output. So once we get an output, it's going to be saved in this particular part. And then same for the YouTube description, again a long text with YouTube description as the name, again a Facebook post long text with Facebook post as the name, and Twitter post with long text at Twitter as the name. Now let's come to the workflows table. which is again, we have a name in here to trigger our automation. We can either go step, we can name it as however we want it. The only idea is that you have control over this so that you can understand what you're trying to, you don't miss out. Like there was a point where one of the client basically used the step 1, step 2 and step 3, and then they got confused, and then we had to go into the backend again to fix up a few things because of that. So I would really suggest that you name what kind of automation is going to run. And then we have the webhook URL itself. This is something which we will create in our make.com in this particular case, and then copy the webhook from there and paste it here. So webhook ultimately is a way to trigger the automation. So once a person opens that particular link of the webhook, that is basically notifying the automation to get started. This is like a communication from you to the automation itself. Then we have the record ID in here too. We've generated that using the formula record_ID in here. And then in the webhook part, we have just the URL and an empty field so that we do it manually. And then this is again a linked record. Once we add a linked field to our main content table, it's gonna automatically add another one in here. This is not something which we need to be worried about. And then we have the third table as prompts. So prompts is something which we will be having a particular prompt set up for each objective of the workflow. So let's say right now we have a YouTube title, so we have a prompt prefix here where you are a helpful YouTube title generator, help me generate a good title for the following video. We don't really use such a short prompt. I'm just giving you an example just to make things clear in your head. So we have a prefix and a suffix which will be used in our further automations. So this is about the Airtable setup. Now we'll jump into the automations part. Okay, so this is the Makes dashboard, where we have where we can see a couple of things in here after you're logged in. If you do not have a make.com account yet, you can click on the link in the description below, or and that might give you a certain discount because that is interlinked to my agency. But in here, when you're on the Make dashboard, you just need to go on to create a new scenario to create a completely new scenario in here. So once I click on create a new scenario, you will be landing on this particular instance where you can create a particular scenario. I'll go step by step in here, where the first scenario we will be creating first automation we will be creating is basically looking up for the automation, like read up the files and add it to our Airtable database. So this is something which we should name it properly for us to not be confused. So it could be watch Google Drive folder to Airtable DB. So this is something which will what we are creating in here. And so what we can do is we can go into the drive and create another folder just for the sake of this. And then I already have a folder. Okay, so and then YT examples, and then it could content engine. Okay, and then I would want the automation to to load everything which is uploaded on this particular folder, which is the inbox. And then I will need another folder called processed, which all the files from the inbox will basically be moved into this particular process folder. Okay, perfect. So what we are going to do is we will be creating an automation, the scenario in here for Google Drive. The first module will be Google Drive. Okay, and then watch files in a particular folder. So this will be the folder we will be fetching it from. So everything after the folder / is something which we need as the folder ID. And then here we will need to map it manually. So what we can do is we can do this part, and then since it is not being mapped out okay, so what we can do is 1 second. Okay, so we need to connect that particular folder in here. So YT examples, and then going into the content engine, and then inbox. So what is happening in here is we added a node called watch files in a folder, and then the connection is something which I already have. You can create your connection. If you do not have, you can just click on add and then connect your particular Google account in here, and then watch files by created time, and then choose your drive, and then I chose that particular folder, and of file types to watch all, and in here the limit is 2. This is basically uh, telling the automation to not to process two files at one time. Or you can do it either one, or you can do couple of multiple files in there together too. So it's completely subjective to what you're trying to achieve in here. So let's say if I take one, this is going to process one file at a time. So right now I do not have any file, so what I'll do is I'll just upload one particular. Okay, so I have uploaded a couple of files into this. These are two MP3 files. You can upload anything like a video for it to be transcribed into something, because ultimately what happens is it's gonna remove the audio part, and then that is gonna be used by for us to be transcribing with ChatGPT. So it is much better if you directly upload an audio file for the sake of this automation, and then if there is anything advanced that is required, then we can do it in the Airtable itself. So once we have it in here, I am going to come back, and then I'm going to ask the system to understand if they have found that particular file. So let's say I click on run once, and then yes, it found that file, which is this. Okay, perfect. So now we know that it has found the file. We just need to create another module and basically process the file to a new folder first, then add the details into Airtable for us to be in track with whatever we've created so far. So what we'll do is we'll create a new folder first, and the name of that. Okay, yeah, so we create a new folder first inside the process folder with the name of this file. Okay, and the location of this will be, take examples, and then content engine, and then processed, and the name of the folder will be the name of this particular file for it to be organized. Okay, perfect. Now it is created. Now the automation will be now the folder will be created in here. Then we need to move our existing file from here into this folder. Okay, so we will move a file to the folder that we created in here. So the file ID is which we got from our first automation in here, which is this, and the new folder location will be mapped. Just click on map for us because we already have the folder ID, and then this will be the new folder ID. Perfect. So now that we have all the three things, I'm sure that this automation is running. I'm pretty confident about that. So I'm not really running it again. So, and then next will be updating the Airtable. So we need to create a new record, yeah, in our Airtable base, which is the new. Okay, this which is this, yes, and then in this we need to go to the content table, which is this, and now that we have the file ID and the folder ID, we will first put that in, which it's okay. I will take the file ID from here, and then the new folder ID is something which we created in this part. Okay, and then as you can see that I have missed out the file name in here. Okay, so we can go back to our Airtable and then create another field before this, which is gonna be the file name. Okay, so now we just need to refresh. So it's gonna load up that particular column. And now that we have it here, then we need to name it here. Okay, so this part is clear, and then done. Okay, perfect. So this should load up from there. So this should as soon as the automation gets a file from here, that should move into a new folder inside the processed folder that we have, with the name of the file itself, to create a hierarchy, and the details will be saved in Airtable. Okay, so let me just run it once for us to see what happened. Okay, so this was successful. Creating a folder was successful, moving it was successful, and creating a record was successful. Let us check our Airtable. Okay, now that we have the file name in here, we have the file ID, folder ID, record ID. I think we can hide it now. And then transformation is something which we will choose ourselves. And we have the run automation, we have the open folder and file, open file. If I click on the open folder, it should open the new processed folder, which is this. Perfect. So now when I go into the inbox, that particular file is gone from there. And if I come back and then if I click on process, then I have a folder called the name of the file, and then that is the file is saved in there. So we can create more we can optimize our folder name by removing the everything after the dot, and then using it to like the title can be properly either in full caps or capitalized or something like that, if that is required. But for the sake of this video, let's not do that, to not complicate it. I just making sure to be quite easy for you. Okay, so now that we have this part sorted, let us try to upload another one in here. For this, I'll go with this file. Okay, so this is uploaded. Now if I run this, it is gonna take that file and add it to our Airtable database and give it a unique name and a unique folder, which is this. And then each folder will have its own processed items. Okay, so you can see this is not processed because this was used in our initial automation. Either we can delete it or we can ask it to process again, but I think we should delete it because it anyways sorted now. So what we can do in our make scenario is that we can trigger it either by manually or setting a particular interval in here, which could be based on the minutes, hours, or whatever. And if you like schedule the scenario to for it to be on, then it is gonna take all the files from that particular folder at a particular interval and then save it into our Airtable database. Okay, perfect. So now that we have our automation in place in here, we can go ahead and create each individual scenario and automation for generating the YouTube title, the LinkedIn caption, the Facebook caption, and the Twitter post. Okay, so what you can do is we can just directly save this scenario, and then we come back and we create the one more scenario now for our processing from our Airtable, which is the generate YouTube title and description. Okay, so what we need to do in our new scenario is search for webhooks and then create a custom webhook in here. This is going to create we have to create a completely new webhook in here. Just click on add and then name it properly so that you know what we are creating. So let's say in our case BCE. Excuse me. Okay, saved. So this is the webhook URL that we need to copy, and then I just copy the address from here and come back to your Airtable, paste it in this particular field, which is the webhook column. So now that we have this, now we can try to load. We can test this first to understand that this is properly working right for now. So just click on run once in here, come back, come to your content. So let's say if you want to go with this, so what I'll do is I'll just delete these two rows, and then if I want to go with this first one, then click on advanced transformations, then click on that particular transformation where we have the webhook installed. This is the webhook, and then once we click on the run automation trigger, it is gonna fire, and then Perfect. So if you get the word accepted, that means that the webhook has been triggered. So if I come back, then we got the record ID for that particular uh, row. What exactly happened in here is we triggered a workflow automation directly from our Airtable by also sending the record ID, which we will now be using to search our Airtable for that record ID and get all the details for that particular record ID. Okay, now that we have this, we need to go in, we need to add another row in another module in here called Airtable, and we need to get a record by its search. Either you can go with this or search results, but I think getting a record by the record ID is much easier because it is straightforward. So I just click on get a record and then choose your particular. Okay, 1 second. Yeah, choose your base. Now that we have the base in here, and then select the table, which is content, and then our record ID, which is this. So this will search for this particular record ID in this table. We can try to run it. So what I'll do is we can copy the record ID from here. We can go into the get a record, and then we can run this module only and then put the record ID in here so that it captures. So now that we have the record ID, we can see what all, so we can see all the things in here from that particular record ID. Perfect. So what we are going to do with our automation in here is that we are going to generate, first we're going to transcribe the audio file and then save it somewhere, and then using that transcription we're going to create the YouTube title and the description for that particular file. Okay, perfect. So what we'll do is we've missed out on a field of transcription. So either we can create a Google Doc file where we auto transcribe all the contents in that particular audio file to that Google Doc, or we can directly transcribe it into this. For the sake of this particular video, I'll just transcribe it directly into this file, this table itself. So click on insert right and long form text, and this could be transcription. Okay, and then once we transcribe it, it has to basically go in here. So what we can do is we can go back to this and then create another row above this, and then this could be the generate YouTube title and description, and this can be transcribe the audio or video. Okay, because everything is pretty much mapped out in here. Now we have the transcribe, and then we have a webhook, and then we have webhook to get a record. Now that we have the record of that file, we need to add another module, which is to download the file with using the file ID. So what we're going to do is use the Google Drive, and we need to download that file. Okay, which is download a file in here, and then use the file ID from the Airtable record that we got, so which we already have. So we will be using this particular file ID from here. Now that we will have that file in our hand, in this case, we just need to use that file so that we can push it to OpenAI's OpenAI Whisper, which is this. It is a pretty straightforward automation in here. Now that we have the transcription, we have the file in our hand. Now that we have the transcription in place, we just need to push that file into this without any prompt, and then we can get back text, and then that transcription, the result from that OpenAI module, has to be saved back into our Airtable. Okay, and update a record with its ID, and then we choose the base as our original one, and then we choose content, and then we will be putting the output in here in the transcription. So this will basically generate our whole transcription. Okay, so we need the record ID. Sorry for that. The record ID is this. We need the complete transcription here. Yeah, okay. Now that we have this, now as soon as that automation is triggered, then we will fetch the details of that particular row from Airtable, then download that file, then transcribe it using OpenAI, and then update back the transcribed contents into the Airtable for us to be able to further play with the automations or create the next scene, the next set of automations from here. Okay, so now that we have everything in place, let's test this so that we see everything is working. So we just click on run once in here, come back to our Airtable, and then we want to transcribe this. Okay, and then click on run automation. It is going to open a new page called accepted. If it is accepted, that means it got transcribed. Okay, so now that I have an error in here saying that you've exceeded your current quota, that means that we probably are the account is low, so you will have to go back to your OpenAI account and fix that billing issue. So I'll just go 1 second. I'll just try another one in here, which is this, and let me try to do it in here because sometimes it does throw an error. Okay, so the quota is completed. I'll just fix this and then run it again. Okay, so now I'm back. I just recharged my OpenAI API account, and then let's get back to our automation. So I just click on run once, come back to our Airtable, and then click on run automation. It got accepted. Come back to our automation. It has downloaded the file. The file is being uploaded to the Whisper model. Whisper is basically the transcription model which OpenAI has, and then it has updated the record. We can go back to our Airtable to check. So we can see this is a transcription of that particular file. Perfect. So now that we have the transcription, we can do all of our things using this. In this case, I just used something like this to explain you so that you understand the process. And once this process is understood, we can play with the contents in this. Okay, so now let's come to the part where we can do the first automation in here, which is the generate YouTube title and description now. Okay, please don't forget to save the scenario in here. So this is webhook to transcription. Yeah, so now we will save it, come back, and then come back to your scenarios, and then create the first scenario, which in this case is BCE transcription to generate YouTube title and description. Okay, so we need to create a webhook custom trigger in here. Custom webhook trigger, add the name and then name it properly. Okay, so there was a mistake because my previous webhook was named wrong. I will need to go into this. So this okay, so now I will do this in here as a webhook. Okay, now that I have the webhook in here, I just need to copy the title from here and paste it in here. Copy the link, and then you press OK, and then you add another mod. You first run it once for it to catch the record ID. Come back to your content. This is the one which got transcribed, so you can delete this transformation in here and then add that. So once this is loaded, you can click on run automation for it to capture it. Now that we have the record ID in here, we will be adding another module for searching. as the previous one. So Airtable get a record by its ID, and then the base will be this, and then the table will be content, and then the record ID is this. So what we can do is we can copy this record ID from here and then right click it and run this once, and then you put in the record ID so that we can capture everything from there and use it in our automation part. Okay, so now that we have the record ID, what we need to do is we need to send the contents of that transcription along with our prompts prefix from here to generate the output and save it back into our content table. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna add another module called Airtable, okay, and get a record. No, but we don't really have the record ID. So actually, since it is a one-time thing, so what I'll do is I'll just directly take the record ID from here. So what you can do is you can have the formula field, record ID, and then this can be the record ID for this. And then we take this particular record ID, copy it from here, and then get a record. Okay, now that we need to set the record ID in here. And then the same table, which is this is going to be in prompts. And then our record ID is something which we copy from Airtable, which is this, and then save. So this is we've logged the particular record ID in here. So what I can do is, so I got the record of what to be generated, and then this is the record ID for generate YT title prompt prefix. So let me just test this, run this module only, and then we got, okay, perfect. So now we're going to use that particular prompt to talk to OpenAI, and it will be creating a completion, and then select the connection which I already have as saved, and then the model can be 4O in this case, and then we add a new message, and the role will be user, and then here we are supposed to be taking this particular prompt prefix, and then what do we have in here, just to see this, and then okay, whose transcription is below. Okay, perfect. And then we can press enter and use the transcription from here. And then if we have a prompt suffix, then that can be stored in here. So this, we can do this double quotes on both ends to define that this is a particular transcription for this particular prefix and the suffix. And the max tokens can be I think 0 for it to be using the max. Press OK, and this is gonna generate that particular YouTube title in this case. So what we can do is come back. So what we can do is we can divide it by just having the title in here first, and YouTube title. Okay, so this should generate the particular title, and then we add another row to update the title back into our Airtable, which is update a row, update a record with the base boring content engine, and the table is content, and our record ID is which we get from The second one, please make sure that you use the correct one, or you can directly use the record ID from here for the easier understanding. And then we need to update the title back in here, which is going to be the result from this particular OpenAI. Okay, perfect. So what we can do is we can just click on run once for it to be switched on, and then come back here, come to the content, and then click on run automation in here for it to get accepted. Then it is accepted. Then it has created this. It has spoken to ChatGPT, and then here we have the YouTube title. Perfect. So you can give it rules for it to not do any mistakes. Like for example, in this case, I don't want the emojis. Do not use the emojis. Do not use the double quotes. And make sure the title is in English only, and things like that. So I mean, you can also do this rules, and then one, do not use the emojis, so that the engine understands what you are trying to achieve. Make sure that the title is in English only, and then so this can be used for all. So now that we have the suffix, now this is pretty good. Now that we have the title generated, it is stored back into our YouTube title. I'll just regenerate it, run once, come back in here, and then click on run automation. Then this is gonna accept. It is generated, and then here we are. We have the YouTube title as this. So you can give it further. The bigger the title, the prompt is, the better your automation output will be. So now that we have this, we can create something for LinkedIn. Okay, so we need something for generate YouTube description. Okay. And then we're going to do the exact same thing for it. So what we can do is we can come back. Okay, what I can do is I want to see this. So I'll create another, like I'll go and create another scenario from scratch. Because I mean, there's another way where we can actually upgrade Airtable and use the same webhook to call different like we can have another router in between to create another scenario which will be which will work depending on what like it can have a specific trigger to it. So we can have a different scenario being running for a different one. But since I'm creating a video for newcomers or people just to teach them, I'm not going to use the automations part in here. So let's just remove this, and then clean this up, and then save. Okay, so I don't want this. Save, clean up, save. Perfect. So we'll create a new scenario for the second one, which is the generate YouTube description. So it is BCE transcription to YouTube description. Okay. And okay, so coming to the new scenario, we are going to use webhook again. Not this, custom webhook, and then this has to be create a webhook, and the name has to be the one from here, create YouTube description, and then copy the webhook address, paste it in here, and then now we will, okay, so now we will create a record. Okay, we will Airtable, get a record with its ID, and then this one, content engine, boring content engine content, and then we need the record ID in here. Okay, so for the time being, I'll take this one. Okay, we need to change our transformation in here to get YouTube description because we do not have it yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to cancel this and we're going to run this module and trigger the automation. The trigger is set. Now we have the record ID. We need to get the record ID for this. Sorry. Okay, and this is the one, and then this is the table. This is the record ID for the sake of it. No, actually, I will choose this. Okay, and run this module. Record ID is this. Okay, we have everything from there. Now we need to generate YouTube prompt. Okay, get the prompt from there. Okay, so again a get record ID, get a record, and this time we need to go to our prompts and then choose this record ID because this is done, and then the base, which is this the boring content engine, and then prompts, and then the record ID. Okay, now that we have the record ID in place, we'll run this. And then we got the description. Perfect. So now we will be creating the OpenAI flow. Create a completion. And the chat model is 4o. Add message is user. And here we need to prefix this. Double quote, and then add this transcription into this, and then the suffix in here, and then max tokens is 0. Press OK, and then once we have this, we need to update it back to our Airtable. So update a record, and then the base, selection of the base, and then the table, which is content, and then the record ID, which we get in our webhook, and then the and then YouTube description, which is the result from here. Okay, perfect. So we can save this, and I'm confident that this will run. So I'll just press on run once. We come back in here into our content. You select the transformation, generate YouTube description because that is what we want to achieve, and then click on run automation. This is gonna fire up the automation. Okay, this is gonna fire up the automation. My bad. I think I need to copy the address, come back to the webflow. Yeah, this is the same. Perfect one. Okay, so we will save, press run once, come back in here, run automation, and then excuse me, and then it should be accepted. Yeah, perfect. So now that we got the record in here, we got the OpenAI completion in place, which will generate a YouTube description. Once we have the description, it's going to be loaded in here. Okay, so we joined the fun blah 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 introduction. You can see that it also gave us the timestamps and instructions. This song is great and enjoy the dance and freeze and everything. So you can give it more rules depending on each individual workflow in here. It's subjective to what you're trying to achieve, but this is what the YouTube description was. Okay, so I need to stop. I think this is like running again. Just refresh. So just like how we did it for all these three things, we're going to create more webhooks for the other things, and then you can create more workflows depending on what you're trying to achieve again. You can do this to create blog posts. You can do this to create social media posts, image posts, videos, or any kind of repurposing text. It is highly subjective to what you're trying to achieve, but this is what I I have achieved so far with this engine. There are more advanced automations that I've created where we can generate the faceless video directly using this kind of setup where we just give it a trigger and then it's going to fetch. And then we can also use Anthropic to for it to browse through the internet to grab the news article and then repurpose it into our style, our brand tonality, and then connect the dots there. So before we get into the deeper setup, let's finish this part so that we have the descriptor, we have all the automations in place. So I need to create the transcription for create a new automation for get LinkedIn captions. So we are gonna do BCE transcription to this, and then we're gonna create a webhook again with a custom webhook instant one. Add a new webhook, a webhook name, and then we have the webhook. Click on OK. Then once we have the webhook, we need to run it because we need the record ID. So click on run once. Come back to your Airtable. Okay, so we need to copy this from here and then paste it here, and then run once, and then come back to your content where you need the LinkedIn caption. So you need to change the transformation in here, add your particular transformation, which is generate LinkedIn caption. Click on run automation. It's gonna fire the automation for us. It's accepted. Now we have the record ID. Perfect. So just copy the record ID for using it again, and then Airtable, get a record. Choose your base content, paste the record. Oh, sorry, I don't need this record ID in here. I need this record ID. Okay, and then I'm gonna run this module and then paste the record ID from the previous one because I don't really want to trigger the automation again. So now that I have the record ID, it has fetched everything for me from that particular record. Now I need the prompt for this. So again, Airtable, get a record. This time the prompts. This time the base, choose the base. Then choose the table which is prompts. In this case, we need the record ID. Go back to your prompts, and then we need the LinkedIn caption in here. So we take the record ID from here, copy it, and then paste it here so that this is locked, and then press on OK. Now that we get the record, we just run this module so that we have everything in our pipeline. Now that we have this, click on the next record, which is OpenAI. Create a completion. And then the model is 4.0, add messages, role is user, max tokens is 0, and the message content is a prefix. And then we need the transcription from here, and then we need the suffix. Perfect. Now we need to update our Airtable record, that is update a record by its ID. Give it the proper ID, which is choosing the base first, then choosing the table which is content, and then the record ID from our webhook because we're dealing with multiple record IDs in here, and then the result from that particular caption, result from that particular OpenAI. Perfect. Again, this is gonna be perfect, so I'll just save it and trigger it to be switched on. Okay, I'll come back. Okay, we need to save the changes. I'll come back. Okay, now that we are in here, we just come back to our content, regenerate LinkedIn automation, click on this. You can alternatively choose option key on your keyboard. I think that is control on Windows, and then click on run automation for it to directly trigger without actually opening a page. So now this should run this particular automation and we should be able to see some kind of action in here. And then what we have two more transfer basically workflows to be created. Okay, so do we have the LinkedIn caption yet? Nope. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just click on run once. Yeah, perfect. Now we have it, and you can see that it has given me all the things: title, caption, looking for a way, blah blah blah. So again, you can filter out the prompts in here. First, we'll do all the connections so that we are well versed with our automation, and then we can improvise the prompts depending on what we understand and what we are trying to achieve. Because prompts is, again, prompt engineering is a whole different story. I have a link below if you want to learn prompt engineering, but it's a whole different story. So this is more like a creative aspect to your work, but whereas what we're achieving in here is the workflow automation. There are two more things, which are Facebook post and Twitter post remaining. So let me just finish that part first. So we'll come back. We'll create another new scenario, which is generate Facebook caption. And then we name it PCE. Generate Facebook. Okay, so this is going to be from transcription to generate Facebook caption. And then we have webhook. We need to create a new webhook, name it properly, generate Facebook caption, save, and then copy the address from there, put it in here, come back to our content, change the transformation in here to generate Facebook caption. We have the webhook. Now we need to run it once for it to be ready. And then once we click on run automation, it is going to capture the automation, a webhook trigger in here. Sometimes make does take some time to capture, but nevertheless, it does not fail anything. It's very, very rare that some of your data will be dropped or something like that. So we don't have to really worry about that. I think we have it. 1 second. Let me just refresh this page. Zapier does not lose any data for sure, but it's super costly, so I don't really prefer that. I've used Zapier. I mean, I've paid Zapier more than 15,000 or 18,000 USD in a year or so for my automations, and that's when I moved to Make. So I don't really want you guys to make that mistake. Okay, Okay. Okay, so there is an error in here, which is this. Did we get anything? No. So we need to run it once again. Come back, run the automation from here. It's going to trigger. Now that we have the record ID, just copy the record ID because we don't really want to run the automation again. Click on Airtable, get a record, and then the base has to be selected. That is the boring content engine in this case. Search the table for the content, get the record ID. We're going to use this one and then run this module to capture the particular record ID. And then we have the record ID in here. Perfect. So now we need to get the prompts, that is get a record, come back to our prompts, copy the record ID from the Facebook post, click search on the base, boring content engine, then prompts, then the record ID has to be saved. Then I pasted that particular record ID and we just need to run this module once. We have that prompt, and then add, and then OpenAI, create a completion, and the model is 4.0. The role is user. We used the prefix, double quote, transcription, prompt suffix, max token 0. Okay, now that we have the result from here, just update it back to our Airtable, which is update a row. And then the base, which is this, and the content, and the record ID should be our original record ID, and what we're saving in here is the Facebook post, which is the result from here. Again, this is perfect, and we just need to save it, auto align, and then like switch it on. I can save it again, and then I can come back, and then I need to create another one for the Twitter one. So I'll come back in here to the workflows. I just copy this name, and then I'm going to do PCE transcription to generate Twitter posts, and then I need the webhook, which is custom webhook, and then create a new one, and then copy this to this, and then copy it in here, come back, run it once, come back to your content in Airtable, change this to generate Twitter posts, click on run automation for our scenario to catch the record ID. Okay, we should have it. Okay, 1 second, I'll just save. So turn this on, come back. Okay, so I just need to switch it off from here and here, and then I come back, and then I have this. Click on edit, and then run once, and then run the automation in here. Okay. Twitter post run automation. Yes. Sometimes it does create issue, so you will have to be a little patient, or find ways to refresh this page. So I'm just stopping 1 second. I'll just recheck the webhook details in here, which is this. Copy the webhook flow, paste it. This is exactly the same one. Okay, so I save, I refresh. And then click on edit, run once. I hope it works this time. Click on generate post, run the automation, and then here I am. Okay, finally. Okay, now I have the record ID. I just copy that record ID, create another one, which is Airtable, get a record, choose the particular base, choose the table, use the record ID, sorry, not this one, plus OK. Excuse me, run the module, run the record. Now I have everything from my previous one. I need for the prompt, that is get a record, come back to your prompts, copy the record ID from here, and then content engine, sorry, not this one. Table is prompts. Make sure that you use the right one in here, and then we're going to lock the record ID with this. So just make sure that that is done, and then click on run this module now to get things perfect. So now that we have this, we are going to open AI, create a completion, and then the model is 4.0, and then we add the message, which is the user. Message contents is the prefix, double quotes the transcription, double quotes, and the suffix. Max tokens is 0, that is the model's maximum number of tokens. And then we create another Airtable node to update a record with its row record ID. So here we need the base to be our original base. we used a content table, and then we, for the record ID, we choose from the record ID, and then come down for the Twitter post and the result from here. Perfect. Now this is sorted. I just need to turn it on, come save changes, and then it should work. So now that we have two pending ones, that is, one is a Facebook and another is the Twitter one. So I'll just trigger it from here. Okay, this is accepted. This should run the automation. We have the Airtable, we got the record. It is creating a completion. The Airtable is updated with the Twitter post. Perfect. So I'll come back and I need to run I need to switch on the Facebook caption one and then run the Facebook caption transformation in here. Facebook caption. Okay, I can like see the scenario from outside. Just open the scenario so that you can see what is happening in there. If there are multiple runs, it's gonna show up here. Yeah, run the automation. It got accepted. It is running. Now that we have the completion. Perfect. So yes. So as you can see that this is the transcription which was the original one which we got from our file which we uploaded in the inbox. Then we have the YouTube title which got generated. Then we have the YouTube description with our timestamps, auto timestamps, and the instructions and everything in here. Then we have the LinkedIn title and caption. We don't need the title. I mean, it is subjective. You can put in rules according to multiple tests. And then we have the Facebook post in here, which is again includes the hashtags, its own brain. You can restrict it by giving it rules inside this particular prompts table. And then for the Twitter post, I gave it 3, so it gave me 3 different set of posts. So this is how you can create your own set of automations or your own CRM. I have created something more advanced which I set up for my clients. If that is something which you're looking for, then you can please do comment below. But if you have any kind of doubts in trying to create this, feel free to comment below, because I will definitely try to be as active as possible. So yeah, this is about the automation, about how you can generate multiple transformations using the same type of content. You can create more types of content transformations in here, like generate Reddit posts, or let's say generate blog posts and things like that, where each individual automation should again be linked to a particular webhook in Make or Zapier or whatever you use, and then a set of things that can happen with that. Just make sure that it will come back and update again in your Airtable for you to have a track of how it's working. Because if let's say if you press this multiple times, and if you already have the output in here, then you might end up seeing a lot of OpenAI charges, because it is gonna be used as per the tokens. So till right now, I think this got charged for about $3 or one, I think less than $1 for the things that we did. I'll just log in and show it to you. Okay, and then when you go into the billing, yeah, so it's like 6 cents in total. 6 or 7 cents to generate everything from transcription to title to description to LinkedIn caption to Facebook post to Twitter. There can be another automation in here which we can also use for directly posting it to our social media platform, but I think I've done a deeper video on that, so you can check out my channel where I've decoded that in a much easier form. Okay, so taking into consideration the content creation hierarchy, which is this particular image is created by my friend Mitch. So talking about how it works as an entrepreneur or a content creator, you should focus your primary time where it is the most valuable, that is at the top of the pyramid, on long form content such as podcasts, newsletters, creating YouTube, or probably getting on other people's podcasts or interviewing people or something like that, where long form content is crucial because it builds trust with your audience, who often want to consume in-depth content before making a purchase. It could be a service purchase, it could be a software purchase, it could be any kind of purchase basically. And it aligns with the 7-11-4 rule by Google, which suggests people need to see various pieces of content across different platforms, including long form content, before they actually buy, at least on the internet. Now, while short form content can sometimes be sufficient, relying solely on it without producing any kind of long form content would be a huge mistake, according to me. And my approach involves starting with long form content like YouTube videos, or then using AI automations to repurpose this high quality content into various formats: mini clips and snippets for videos, reels and shorts, text and social media images, etc. This system ensures you leverage the perceived high quality and value of long form content while efficiently creating diverse content types. So in this case, you can see that there is a long form content, and then it is being chipped into mini clips and snippets and reels and shorts and social media and text posts only directly, either via VA, or it could be 80% with the AI and then 20% via the VA. It's completely subjective to how do you want your workflow to be. So long form content, again, the highest and the best use possible would be this. So yeah, with my system, I conclude with this video, I basically conclude my system's approach to how it can work. If you have any kind of questions, please feel free to drop down a comment below. I should be able to reply as soon as possible, or at least from my team, someone would reply to any of the comments or things. Please do support this video if you think someone has an entrepreneur mind, or is a content creator, or is looking to grow on this space. Just like it would help them and also as well as me to produce such content more, if that is something which people are looking for. Okay, thank you.